The New York Jets invent the prevent offense as they fall to 0-6, trade deadline approaching, and I think there's at least one player I'm pretty confident will be moved by the New York Jets. 7 takeaways from the Week 6 loss over in London to the Broncos. Number one, if you want a bronze lining, no silver linings at 0-6, but I'll give you a bronze one, and this is one that I've continued to notice throughout the season, is that the kids are all right. The Jets ads of players who are 24 or younger, be it the draft or guys who are essentially rookies like Brownlee and Briggs, continue to look pretty good. Armand Membu is rock solid. Membu's still been rock solid. We have eyes. I don't need a PFF grade. He's been really good. Olu's been a little more leaky than I like. We'll talk about Fields holding the ball, all that stuff. But Olu has lost more quick one-on-one reps than you would like in his second season. Right, but Membu's been a stud. Mason Taylor, anytime he gets targeted, he catches the freaking ball. Malachi Moore, Jawan Briggs, Jarvis Brownlee, Kiko Mawagoa, all looked like normal defensive starters last week. It's been a couple of weeks trending up for Francisco Mawagoa. And they even solved punter with Austin McNamara. AZ Thomas has been ready. When he's been called upon, he's being blocked by an expensive mid-veteran in Stevens, so that is what it is. The wild card remains the seldom targeted Arian Smith. I think Tyler Barron just be like a waste of 2 picks, to be honest. The wild card is Arian Smith. Like, what does he look like in a normal offense? Can he play the Tyquan Thornton role that the Chiefs are having Tyquan Thornton play? Right now, it took Tyquan a couple of years to get there. And obviously, the Jets don't have a bona fide wide receiver too. But what does he look like if he gets a chance? You know, the one time they target him on a 1-to-1, Fields put the ball on the chalk. So we'll see there. That's the wild card. But the Jets look like they had a normal draft, and we'll take normal. We'll take normal from year one, and that's how I see it. That's how I felt after draft night, like a normal, solid, whatever B- draft. And I still think it's going to age to be the same. And you get those free money pick swap guys like Brownlee and Briggs, who have played a significant role. They look pretty good. Number 2, players only. Hey, that meeting worked. that meeting definitely worked with the defense getting together, and they came out ready to go. Good thing we have guys like Quinnen Williams, like Jermaine Johnson, who have some pride and just said, hey, man, like, are we going to stand up and are we going to take this? Are we going to lay down and die for whatever it is, 12, 11 more games like we did in Dallas? Because Dallas, that defense did not get off the bus. They didn't want to be there. And the defense, completely different unit. So shout out to Steve Wilks and obviously tangentially Aaron Glenn having the defense ready to go, and just the players who are saying enough is enough. Like, enough is enough. We're better than this. And the additions of Jermaine Johnson. Like, is Jermaine Johnson the most valuable player in the NFL? Because when he is not on the field for the Jets, it is a completely different unit. I don't care what his stats say. Completely different unit. They cannot touch the quarterback when Jermaine Johnson is not on the field for this team. And obviously Jermaine, then he bumps Clemens to the third edge, who, guys, I'm sorry to tell you, Clemens has kind of been okay. For the majority of the year, he's been okay for a reserve edge. I know he has those reps where he looks like an idiot and he's just so like weirdly unathletic, but he's kind of been doing his job the past couple of weeks. He's punching a spot above his weight when Jermaine's not in there. But once Jermaine is in there and you got Clemens as your third edge, and then it bumps one of those unrosterable players to inactive. That's a massive ripple effect on your defensive line when Jermaine is in there. And then you got Brownlee stepping in and being playable at nickel. That's huge over Michael Carter. And then you got Malachi Moore stepping in for Tony Adams, and he was okay. So you're getting 3 improvements on your defense, 3 out of 11 spots where it was like practice squad level performances, and then you're getting NFL level normal starting performances. That's huge. That was huge. So obviously those 3 spots, big improvements. And it was also a good script for Mawagoa and Malachi Moore, who are both a lot better playing downhill. So a heavy screen, heavy run game is going to be more favorable to them than a heavy pass game. But they look good, and Brownlee comes in and immediately is a part of the first turnover. So you could tell as a Jet fan, when they don't have it in terms of energy, like against Dallas, you're like, oh, they're just going to lay down and die. Okay. Seen that before. But this one, you could tell right from that opening special teams play and that first defensive possession, you're like, oh, we're here to fight today. We're here to fight. You didn't know if they were going to win, but you knew they were going to fight today, and they did. And the Jets defense spotted them 5 points with a fumble recovery that gives you the ball in field goal range. You hardly advance it. And Michael Clemens draws a holding penalty to give you 2 points. Michael Clemens scored 2 points for you. All right. Then Nwangu has a huge kick return to give you another 3 points. So it's 3, 6, 9. You just needed the offense needed to somehow generate 5 points on their own. Really 6, because you can't score 5 on offense, I guess, but 6 points, either a touchdown or 2 field goals on their own. That's all that was asked of the offense today, and it was proved to be too tall of a task for Fields and company. It's very frustrating because in almost any other of the other Jets games, this would have been enough to win. So the Jets play the opposite of complementary football. If one unit steps up, somebody else bottoms out. Or they all kind of play below average, or they're all doing okay and there's like costly fumbles, or the special teams and defense play awesome. So now the offense says, well, we can't just play mid because we'll still win. So we have to bottom out to hell to make sure we lose. So that's why, as even the defense and special teams, I am not confident that they're going to build on it into Carolina. You never know what version of the Jets are going to show up on any given week on any part of the team. So shout out to the defense and the special teams. Even the kicking game, like Nick Folk hasn't missed a field goal yet. Austin McNamara, great punting. The Jets offense had great field position to work with. This offense that has not been done favors by its special teams and defense was in this game, and they took a dump directly in the middle of the field. Number 3, disaster of a performance by Justin Fields in the offense. -10 net passing yards. That is the worst in Jets history. I mean, they had a game where Greg McElroy got sacked 12 times and he still didn't have -10 passing yards. So pretty brutal. He saw all the ghosts were seen by Justin Fields, except for the ones who were wearing green, who were wide open in the flat. He didn't see those ghosts. Unfortunately, 9 sacks allowed. Only one of them did a defender first touch Fields in less than 2.75 seconds. He had 1 sack where he had the ball for over 7 seconds. That was a scramble, right? But it's like, dude, Kurt Warner was like aghast. He couldn't believe it. In real time. He's showing you have to hit this. This is NFL open. That's a second late. He's showing you. Now, I still don't think the offense, I mean, it gets so hard to, like, what do? Do you rewatch the game and you get a stopwatch out? It's insane. And I know they don't have a lot of great receivers. Guys, you can't say you need like 3 number 1 receivers to throw the ball in under 5 seconds. It's just, you can't say that anymore. It's ridiculous. Kurt Warner is showing you guys open. Who's the Jets' second receiver? I guess we'll never find out unless we can pass protect for 14 seconds. Like, come on. Am I supposed to believe that if we signed Josh Palmer, that he would have been sacked like twice instead of 9 times? Say, like, let's be serious. Yeah, the receiver core is not good. That's not how you get sacked 9 times. Come on. The offensive line is not the 2022 Eagles. That's not how you get sacked 9 times. I watched a game in which Zach Wilson going up against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. This was a couple years ago when those guys were closer to 30 years old. And in that game, Zach Wilson had on his offensive line from left to right Carter Warren, Laken Tomlinson, Xavier Newman, Max Mitchell at guard, and Billy Turner at right tackle. He wasn't sacked 9 times in that game. Like this. So, I mean, you just sack after sack after sack with so many opportunities to get rid of the ball. Fields should have been pulled. I don't care. I don't care. Yes, you can pull a quarterback. And then you know what? You want to go back to him next week? Fine. But you got to get your first win, man. You got to get your first win as a head coach. You have to claw and scratch and get your first win. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We know Tyrod Taylor playing games doesn't do much for this team. I'm starting to question if Justin Fields playing games as much for this team anyway. But if you want to see that experiment through and go back to him next week, fine. If you want to have a debate on whose baseline game is better, Fields or 36-year-old Taylor, we can have that debate, right? But there is no debate, and it's insulting our intelligence to pretend that Tyrod Taylor could not clear the bar of -10 net passing yards, could not clear the bar of hitting an 8-yard out from a clean freaking pocket to win the game, to get you your first win. Because if you're Coach Glenn and Coach Engstrand, who are doing this is your first time on the job at your respective positions in this league, or Steve Wilkes, who's trying to hang around in this league, Uh, you got to get a dub for your message to mean anything, because how long do guys want to be yelled at by somebody who doesn't have a W? Uh, Honestly, how long do people want to be pushed by somebody who doesn't have a W? Well, we could have put that away. They could have put that away, and is disgraceful to the other 52 men who strapped up and gave the team a fighting chance to win, to roll Fields out there when you know he was a shot fighter. You knew he was a shot fighter. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense to play him. You can go back to him. He's, oh, you're going to shatter his confidence, all this stuff. Dude, he's not a 21-year-old rookie. Justin Fields is a grown man. He's been benched before. He was benched in Pittsburgh. And to my knowledge, he handled it like the ultimate professional. I wouldn't see a reason why it would be different. And furthermore, does playing Justin Fields in that game, did that improve his confidence? Who's more confident now after that game? Nobody. Nobody. And I get it. It is the most overpressed button by fans ever, is backup QB, backup QB, backup QB. I don't know. Tyrod Taylor could go in there and throw a pick. He could get strip sacked. Denver has a great defense. It wouldn't have been pretty with Tyrod Taylor in there either, but man, like at least with Zach Wilson, here's the thing. When Zach Wilson was out there not really doing poorly in 2023, Robert Saleh stood at the podium and he's like, guys, he's the best we have. And you know what? When Timothy Kevin Boyle took the field, we realized that Robert Saleh was correct, but it wasn't Tim Boyle. You have Tyrod Taylor, who you're paying $6 million US. He can hit a pass. He can hit a pass. And Fields should have been pulled. They should have given those men a chance to get their first win. Because people will tell you, who cares about meaningless wins? Why are you complaining about not winning? Losing is good. Dan Campbell went 0-1,000,000. Nothing means anything. We're all going to die anyway. Is the purple I see the same purple as you see? Like, what the fuck are we talking about, man? Garrett Wilson wants to win. Garrett Wilson wants to win. Quinn Williams wants to win. Sauce Gardner wants to win. Jermaine Johnson wants to win. They want to win. Tell that to them. Tell that to them. Tell Jermaine Johnson come back from an Achilles, come back from an ankle injury, trying to strap it up to be there with his teammates, goes out there, plays his ass off, that he doesn't deserve to win because it all means nothing. Tell it to him. Tell Jermaine Johnson, we're all just floating on a speck of dust through stars, and it all means tell it to him. Don't tell it to me. You go at him on Twitter and tell him it's good to lose. It's good to go 0-10 because Dan Campbell did one time. It's bullshit. They should have given those men a fighting chance. Anyway, number 4. Now, Justin Fields fan club, if you're in here. Well, first of all, we need a divorce. Justin Fields, I can't. Guys, come on. And most of the Justin Fields fan club are like Bears fans. You don't get to split the difference, bro. Your team moves off of Fields to take a QB high in the draft, and now it looks like you're better off for it. And now Jets fans suggest doing the same thing, and now we're like the worst. What is that? Sam Darnold, we can own that. We ruined him. Even like Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, that like they were Hall of Famers before they came here, and then they were good for like a year after. Okay, you can come in here and laugh at us for that. Justin Fields, bro, come on. That's like saying that the Vikings should be catching heat for Danny Dimes. The Giants had Danny Dimes for 6 years, man. That's on the Bears. That's on the Chicago Bears. I'm not taking that one. We have enough. We've ruined enough players. If we can't fix Justin Fields, that's not on us. So Justin Fields fan club, man, we have to have a divorce. You can go support him when he's on his next team. I just can't do it, man. But I'll say this. This is called the Zach Wilson rule. Because sometimes we make this mistake, and I made this mistake with Zach Wilson. For sure I did. Is that your team has an unplayable quarterback performance, right? And then you throw your hands up and you say, well, we know nothing. We know nothing about this team. Because of that quarterback, you can't evaluate anything, any of the offense, anything offensive line, any of the coaching. We know nothing. We have to assume everyone else is good, but the quarterback just stinks. And I would say you want to definitely be careful of that. You want to be careful of that mentality, man. That can burn you for sure. I disagree, right? Because now 2 of Justin Fields' worst games of his career have come within his 5 starts with the Jets. 40% of Justin Fields' Jets with the starts have constituted the 2 worst games of his career. Now also with the second best one in the first one, to be fair. But now you're looking at Justin Fields, he's on pace for, and you hope this changes because obviously you have a disaster one that's a big part of the sample size that's weighing it down. Hopefully this changes, but right now Justin Fields, who's on his 5th year of getting some work as a starter, and a lot of his key metrics this year, out of his 5 years, are 4th or 5th worst. You want that to not be the case, right? You don't want it to be like, oh, you made Justin Fields worse than like, oh, when he was as a rookie with a coaching staff that got fired with like with worse offensive lines in Chicago. You want that to not be the case. Is that a hot take? I don't think so. Fields started 6 games for Mike Tomlin's Steelers last year, and he never bottomed out. 0 times out of 6 did he bottom out. And the Steelers had Dan Moore and Broderick Jones at tackle with, is George Pickens like way better than Garrett Wilson? Yeah, right. Freiermuth and Najee Harris are way better than Mason Taylor and Breece Hall. Or was it Arthur Smith? Arthur Smith, legendary offensive mind. Sean McVay 2.0. Was that the reason? It's probably because of Mike Tomlin. And the Steelers with Fields, they ran play action at twice the clip that the Jets are running play action with Fields. They threw passes to the flat at 2.5 times that the Jets are this year. Fields was just boom to the flat, boom flat last year because they understood you drop him back straight up like 20 times and he's going to implode. Now they threw screen passes at just under 3 times the rate that the Jets are. Can we get a screen pass when teams are jailbreak blitzing you every single critical 3rd, 4th down? Can we get a screen pass? Just one. Justin Fields designed runs 1.5 times that the Jets are using. And with the Steelers, he would often use where they wouldn't even read option. It was just direct snap, and the running back would read lead block, so you get that 10 blockers. They did that a lot, and you get Fields out on the edge. They did it a lot. The Jets never do that. And they still targeted receivers beyond 20 yards at 1.5 times the clip the Jets are. So what the Steelers showed you is here is a blueprint to not have Justin Fields bottom out. Now, if you're the Jets, you might say, well, I don't care about that because, look, the Steelers still had a bad offense with Fields. They still benched him. It was the defense that made them go 4-2. Let's not be naive to that. And if you're the Jets, maybe you're saying, you know what, we're going to make Justin Fields play real quarterback. We're going to take the Mike Tomlin training wheels off, and we're going to actually see if we have something in this kid. And with that, I actually agree with that. I don't hate that philosophy in general. Okay. But you also don't trust him to go on a 2-minute offense at the end of a half. So you're taking the restraints off him because you're like, let's have him play real QB, but you don't trust him to give him a green light to try and score points at the end of the half while you're down. You don't even trust him to throw a Hail Mary as time expires from like the 48-yard line. You don't trust your quarterback. But then after he's shown you he's a completely shot fighter, you throw 3 straight passes before you're forced to go for it on 4th down. Like that sequence where, okay, Breece Hall, 7-yard run. Cool. 2nd and 3. Breece Hall, 5-yard run. Cool. 1st and 10. I'm like, I see the vision. Give me 3 more a pop and then kick a field goal, whatever you got to do. Drop back pass, sack, drop back pass, short completion, drop back pass, incomplete. Forced to go for it on 4th down, drop back pass, takes a sack on 4th down, doesn't even throw it up for grabs on 4th down, man. It's a crazy sequence. It was an insane sequence. So, yeah, the Steelers showed you how to pillar a non-disastrous floor with some certain principles. Tanner Engstrand did not want to do that, right? Because at halftime, you could see like, okay, our defense is fighting. Bo Nix is crapping down his leg. So you needed to have an offense that could function, and you need to press one of 2 buttons. One, we're going to press the Pittsburgh Steelers Justin Fields plan button that can have a bad offense, but not horrible. And if Justin Fields was so shot on Sunday that you didn't even trust him to do that it wouldn't matter what you called, then Tyrod Taylor needs to play. One of those 2 things should have been pressed. And the leadership of this team is under more important of evaluation year than the quarterback on a bridge deal. Unacceptable to let that happen offensively. The Jets showed up to a gunfight with a pumpkin. And instead of pulling the pocket knife out of their pocket, they left it in there and they took the pumpkin and they smashed it against their own skull. That's what they did. Furthermore, It seems like the Jets are just mashing random buttons. It truly does. Number 5, Brian Costello has a family. This is just me personally. I really could give a shit if Aaron Glenn is mean to Rich Me and Brian Costello. Maybe if they're like 1-9, it won't, but it still does bring me some comic relief. I'm not gonna lie, because he genuinely hates them, and I think it's funny. Maybe I won't think it's funny if they lose to the Panthers, but still at 0-6, I somehow still think it's funny. What I thought was concerning about the post game presser, because guys, you're gonna lose your mind. Oh my gosh, he said this about Justin Fields. You're gonna lose your mind if you're going and watching all those clips and freaking out about it. But so I watched those clips and I'm like, what does he say about actual like in-game decisions, like those game management questions? That's what I'm looking for. And the part that was concerning to me was Coach Glenn cited that the Jets needed a 65 to 68 yard field goal to win. Maybe he just misspoke, right? It's totally possible, but it wasn't a 65 to 68 yarder. It was a 60 to 62 yarder. That's a significant difference. And then Glenn also added that the 35-yard line was their target where they felt comfortable kicking a field goal instead of going for it. It's not 2015. You got that magnet ball that kickers are kicking. Nick Folk was true from 52 earlier in that game by a wide margin and from 58 earlier in the year. Nick Folk has been the single most accurate field goal kicker in the NFL the last 3 years. Now, a 63-yarder, do I feel super confident about it? Whatever it was, 61, 62? No, I don't feel super confident about it, but it seems like the coaches may have been making that decision based on a wrong interpretation of the yardage marker and by an outdated rule of thumb of kicking field goals. Now, I get the go. In principle, I get the go, because if you get the first down, then you can run it 3 more times, and you're kicking whatever, a 50 and a less than 50-yard field goal, probably with the additional yards you get on 3 runs to win the game. Denver never gets the ball back. I can live with the go, even though I had no confidence of just dropping Justin Fields back. And even though it's a moot point, if he hits a wide open Garrett Wilson on an out route instead of being late, so Garrett gets a hospital pass and now he's going to miss the next 2 weeks with a knee injury. Great. I get the go. Like, it's a 50-50 call to me. But the 3 passes leading up to it are indefensible to me. And seems like they didn't exactly understand the scope of the situation to inform their decision making is concerning, to say the least, for sure. Number 6, free number 20. That is what running back Breece Hall posted on his social media. So he's doing the soft trade request, free 20. He's been this cryptic thing for he wants to be gone. Let's be honest. He wants out of here. Can you blame him? Not really. I don't think he's been done wrong by completely. Let's not forget last year he was bad. He was individually bad. He led all running backs in drops and fumbles last year, but he's been pretty good this year. He's been good. Is he completely irreplaceable in an offseason? No. Is he irreplaceable to the Jets this year? Kind of, with Braylon Allen going out. Yeah, we're going to notice the offense. I know it feels like it couldn't get any worse than Sunday, but the offense's baseline performance will miss Breece Hall. So Garrett Wilson will probably miss the next 2 weeks until the bye. So no Garrett Wilson until the bye, and then maybe no Breece Hall after it. Offense points are going to be hard to come by. That's for sure. Number 7, main man, Jermaine Johnson. If he can stay on the field, you pay him. I know he's a little older, but if he demonstrates maybe he only misses 1 more game or so the rest of the year, I think you pay him, because the defense is a completely different unit with him on it as opposed to with him not on the field. And he's the type of dude that you could build a culture with for sure, with Jermaine Johnson. So I would make him a priority retain if he shows he can stay on the field. Obviously, he should be just getting better and stronger off of that Achilles injury. There you have it, man. And they got a couple games. They are 1.5 point favorites at home against Carolina. I think the Garrett Wilson injury might knock that to a pick 'em, to be honest, once the degenerate gamblers get wind of that. And now with the next 2 games, that's why I'm still not talking the one and done stuff or all that, or who are we going to get if these guys, or what do they need to do, just because there's a lot of football left. And it sounds like a threat at this point, but there is still a lot of football left. There's some stuff we can learn about this team still. But it seems like, unfortunately, all we're going to learn about this team is Are they going to be a run-of-the-mill, forgettable, bad 4-win Jets team that gets lumped into it with all the rest? Or are they going to join a list of names that are like saying Voldemort? You know the names. You don't want to join that list of names. I still think I would rather be, and this is just me. Whatever. Some of you think Mendoza is that guy. You don't care. You want to tank for him. I don't blame you. I mean, if the team is showing they're just losing, they're losing without trying to lose, and they're 0-6, like I can't blame you, but I still want to feel more confidence in the new leadership of the team as the season goes on. And that to me is more important than where they pick, because I was thinking about it and I was like, all right, you're trying to find examples of teams that have been like really, really bad, like 1-2 win bad teams. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But right now, I mean, what would you predict? Like 2 or 3 wins, probably. I think Vegas has dropped them to 3.5 as their over under. It was 5.5 to 6 to open the season. But you look how teams got their quarterback now, right? And you have teams like the Bills, like the Chiefs, like the Ravens, who got their QB after making the playoffs, right? And they just got to walk into these, already established cultures and winning, and it's a good situation, right? And no shock that those 3 teams, for the past 5 or so years, have been the most successful teams in the conference. And you got teams like the Commanders and like the Patriots, who were bad, and they had got their quarterbacks and are turning it around, but they also got new staffs from when they were bad, right? And then you got Joe Burrow, who the staff did bottom out and pick him, but now it looks like they might be gone, and they still couldn't figure out how to put an offensive line in front of him, and his career is, one more IR stint away from maybe being a next Andrew Luck situation. I mean, Justin Herbert, he came in and played his rookie year and lit it up, but then he's been like 2 coaching staffs have been fired since then until he's finally been able to get a staff that maximizes his talents. Obviously, Jalen Hurts walked right into a good situation as well, 2nd-round pick. So I should have done a more thorough checklist, but this is just a thought that I had before hopping on the stream. I'm like, you want to see some blueprints of like, okay, this team was ass. And then they pick, because even with the Lions with Campbell, they already had Goff, and he already went to McVay school and been to a Super Bowl, multiple Pro Bowls. So it's not as though they developed Goff, but they did. They reinvigorated him eventually, right? But in fact, the recent history is more unkind, where the last 4 teams that have had the number 1 pick and draft a rookie quarterback, like that staff has been fired. The last 4 in a row, number 1 QB pick quarterbacks, that staff has been fired. So that is why you don't want to end the year feeling like the 2024 Titans, who are then taking Cam Ward, and it's like, oh, but you had Will Levis, so how could you judge anything? Well, there you go. Is Cam Ward good? We don't know. And now Titans fans get to fight about it as they wait out the season and find out who the next coach is going to be. So I'm not saying Aaron Glenn is Brian Callahan, because he has 11 more games to go. He's got 11 more games to go, right? And over those 11 games, you want to see signs of pending competence, right? I'm not out after 16. I would say it if I was. Who cares? Whatever. I've said stuff and been wrong a bunch of times before. No one even brings it up. No one really cares. I don't know. So I don't care. I would say it if I was, but I'm not. I'm definitely not. A lot of season left. A lot of season left. See how it goes. The Dan Campbell of it all. What if we win, though? But if we beat the Panthers, then it's bad, right? Because Dan Campbell was 0-10, right? So if we beat the Panthers, then it's bad, because now we're not Dan Campbell anymore. So then we have to find a really good head coach who started 1-6. Is that how it works? I don't get what the losing is good people. And I'm being facetious. Obviously, it's not exactly what you're saying, but you're kind of saying it's losing is very acceptable and to be expected. But what if this team wins the next 3 games? I'm not predicting it, but you are playing the Panthers. You are playing the Joe Flacco, who just got there, and the Bengals, who have a horrible defense. And then off the bye, you get Dylan Gabriel. What if this team wins the next 3 games and they're 3-6 heading into Thursday night against the Patriots? Is the losing is good people going to say that it's bad? If losing is good, then winning has to be. So you're going to say, well, this doesn't mean anything. This means nothing. Winning 3 in a row means nothing. I am Marcus Aurelius. I am stoic. I am unimpacted by this completely because winning and nothing has no impact on me. Is that what you can do? Is that what you're going to be? You're going to be Epictetus about it? No, you're not. You're going to say, see, we're turning the corner. AG's stuffing you podcast bros into a locker. As you should, because winning is good and being good is good. And signs of getting better is progress. And losing is bad. And being bad is bad. And signs of regression is negative. I won't let you guys gaslight me and telling me otherwise, because then if we win, then you can't like it. If you don't hate losing, then you can't like winning. It doesn't make any sense. Hopefully they win. I want to win. I'm not going to complain that they're now here's the deal I have to make. I can't complain that they're tanking their draft stock by losing. Because you see some people like saying, yeah, we have to tank, and they lose and they're complaining about how they lost. So I gotta now if it's the last game of the year and like a win could cost them like slipping 4 spots, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But for right now, I want this team to win games. I want this team to win games until further notice. It's tough to build culture in the absence of that. Yeah, I want to win until we're mathematically eliminated. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Are the Bills at least losing? Wait, it was 28-7 when I came up here. How did the Falcons lose points? Oh, they pulled that touchdown off the board. That's gonna come back to haunt them. You know how that goes. They got greedy. Super chat from David Hong. So what's next with this team? What's next is the Carolina Panthers, who are 3-3, but are really not that good. And somehow the odds makers have really loved the Jets the last 2 years. I don't get it. They were favored at kickoff against Dallas, and now they'll be favored against the Panthers, which I guess I understand, but not if Garrett Wilson is out. If Garrett Wilson is out, I don't know, man. Arian Smith, wide receiver 1, baby. Or Josh Reynolds and Tyler Johnson. Yeah, it's going to be scary hours. Scary hours indeed. What's next on? Let's get some wins, man. Dude, again, like winning these next 2 games, it's like you still are having a season somewhat. You're not making the playoffs regardless. If you win the next 2 games, you can still like have some sort of season, I guess. Like the Giants, I don't think the Giants are going anywhere, but they're like kind of having a season, right? Like their fans be like, oh, let's watch them. Let's see what happens, right? But if you go 0-8 into the bye, like guys are going to completely check out, trade requests. It's tough. And yeah, of course, Dan Campbell did dig that hole, but again, you'd rather not do that. Like that's, and Coach Glenn, he's saying like, he's like, well, everyone wants to win, but you don't understand. Like you have to go through this. I'm like, we don't have to. You don't have to. Like it might be part of it. We might have to grin and bear it. A bad season to start out. It's happened before. Not only Dan Campbell. There's other examples. It's happened before, but you don't have to. It's like saying someone who's 300 pounds. It's like before you lose weight, you have to get up to 400 pounds, and then you can start losing weight next year. They're like, why? Why can't I just start like intermittent fat? No, you shut up and you eat that pizza and you drink that Dr. Pepper right now. You cannot start getting skinny today. That's crazy. Dan Campbell started 0-10. So sit your fat ass down, get up to 400 pounds, and then and only then can we start losing weight. But why can't I? Damn it, Dan Campbell went 0-11. That's what's happening to us. It's not true. It's not true. You can start the diet tomorrow. And the Jets can get their first win on Sunday. They can. There's nothing in the rules against it. You can win a game. You can win a game. It's not illegal. I'll start saying that to everyone. I'm gonna show up late to work. Yeah, like, the contract says 7:40, and I'm gonna say Dan Campbell started 0-10-1. So, what are you gonna do? They're losing to the Panthers. Dude, until the Jets win, I cannot pick them in an individual game. I think it'll be close. But without Garrett Wilson, it's hard to pick them in an individual game. It truly is, because you don't know if the same defense is going to show up, right? So you have no idea. As horrendous as these games have been, the coach's mouth is making it worse. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's just like the Costello thing. Like, well, let's be honest. So, Jets beat reporters, Brian Costello, who in my opinion is the worst Jets beat reporter, because all the other ones I could at least point to some sort of redeeming quality. Like Connor Hughes seems like a good dad. That's cool. Zach Rosenblatt is nice enough guy. He came on my show before. That's cool. Even Rich Cimini, who's a curmudgeon. Like Rich Cimini, he's actually a pretty good writer. Believe it or not, Rich Cimini is a pretty good writer. I read a Sunday column. I think it's pretty good. Antoine's the man. I love Antoine. I love Dennis and his emoji scorecards for training camp. But Costello, it's like, bro, you give me nothing to work with, man. You're just a miserable, and you hate your job, and you don't even break news. You just retweet other reporters who break news. So whatever. Okay, and we've seen Jets beat reporters like do a thing before where, okay, I'll give you an example, right? Like, let's say the Jets named Justin Fields the starting quarterback in training camp. The next day, let's say he has a shoddy day of practice. If the beat reporter then asks, hey, are you considering changing your mind from yesterday because of this one practice? That would be an example of a reporter trying to just generate something to go right in their column and do, but when you have negative 10 net passing yards and you have a quarterback on the bench who's been a starter in the league, who broke a playoff drought for the Buffalo Bills, who's a pro, that's a reasonable question to ask if you consider making a change at quarterback. And to insinuate that it's unreasonable to ask kind of seems like you didn't even consider it, which is crazy. It's like he's like saying, oh, just because you play bad doesn't mean you get benched. It's like, dude, I get it, but there's levels to it, man. There's levels to it. And Justin Fields is not a 21-year-old rookie where you're going to have to just watch some all-time stinkers. You had to pull him and get the W, and then you can go back to Justin Fields at 1-5. And then us as fans, would we like it? No, we complain about it too. Oh my God, Tyrod gave you the comeback win. You're talking about accountability. We'd still be complaining. Of course you would. Of course you would. Let's not pretend otherwise. But still, you'd be 1-5. You'd be 1-5. So yeah, that was kind of wild to not go to Taylor, in my opinion. But I don't know. The whole beat is pretty terrible. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think the Jets are so bad. Like, who even wants to, like, I don't know. You like Costello? Okay. Maybe I'm being too hard on Costello. But yeah, his individual question was a reasonable question. And Costello wasn't being a dick about it, man. It's just like, bro, did you consider making a change? Yeah, I think Brandon Smith will probably get some burn maybe with Garrett out. Now the Panthers are favored after the Garrett Wilson news. That makes sense. Wow. Really? How much did it shift? Because it's very rare. There's a very small amount of individual players that will actually move the line who aren't quarterbacks in the league. Garrett Wilson is one of them, particularly with the way the Jets offense is constructed. So let's see. It was Jets minus 1.5 like 2 hours ago. And now I'm still seeing Jets. Oh my gosh. It was a 3-point swing. Jets plus 1.5. Holy shit, man. They are telling you Garrett Wilson is, dude, 3 points for a non-quarterback is freaking insane. Prime Aaron Donald would not move the line 3 points. That's insane. That is crazy. Oh my God. We might be cooked. Yeah, it's going to be not very pretty. Robert Saleh on the I mean, guys, like, come on. Like, I know you escaped the Jets and you look all happy, but Robert Saleh was like, you can only say it if they're doing it in their current role. Like, if he goes on to be a head coach somewhere and does well, then we'll get to do that. But we already knew he was a good defensive coordinator, right? I'm not defend. I can't defend. I can't fall on the sword for Brian Costello. You know what I mean? I really don't care if Aaron Glenn is mean to them. But to me, it was the field goal stuff, like the game management, situational stuff that I thought was concerning. Need Breece Hall to go nuts before he's traded. Yeah, go full Bijan Robinson. Jet fans are too impatient. We need to give Glenn at least 5 losing seasons before he's considered as replacement. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Impatient, homer, negative, positive. It's like, I don't know. Let's just watch. Let's just each week. Let's talk about the team and what's going on. All right. Because there's this one gentleman. He's a nice guy. Like, he follows me on Twitter. He's in here sometimes. I got no problem with him. He's very positive. And before the season starts, I made a video in which the Jets were ranked as the worst team in the NFL by some outlet. And I made a video and I said, it's not my expectation, but I was like, there's definitely, if some dominoes fall, like, the Jets have a floor of being the worst team. They have a floor, right? A couple critical injuries, maybe some players not performing as we thought, the coaching staff not getting off to a hot start. They have a floor of being the worst team. I think they have a ceiling of maybe 7.5, maybe 8 wins if all these things go right. But I'm like, they have a floor of the worst team, which it is not aging to be a crazy. Now, it wasn't my prediction that they'd be a worst team. Let me be clear. I said they have a floor, right? You have floors and ceilings. And he sent me like a couple paragraphs, like, can't believe he was like, how do you even go through your life being that negative? And I just like, dude, it was on my lunch break and I just like went back to work and I was like, I had like a fine normal day. I'm like, I didn't even think of it as a negative thing to say. I'm like, it's the Jets. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, we have an unknowns at coaching staff. What if they suck? What if we have a bad staff and we have Justin Fields as a quarterback? Of course you could be bad. Of course you could. And then I'm on here saying, oh, this is not going well. And he's like, oh, you have to be patient. Like Dan Campbell went, oh, and it's like, that doesn't make sense to me. You can't say it is so negative. It's so crazy for anyone to suggest that this could happen, but then pointing out that when it does happen, it's kind of not ideal is like crazy impatient. I don't know, man. And I get some people go too far, but I purposely try and toe the line and not go too far. And it's just like, dude, I don't know what people want to hear. And you start to hear some like, and you get into this part of the season where you start hearing some bad faith arguments. Like, I think we got to leave the Lions stuff alone. We have to leave the Lions stuff alone because then if we're going to say it's fine to, like, first of all, why are we already skipping to 0-10? Why are we going right to 0-10, man? We're only 0-6. We win the next game, but like Lions, what did they do in their next season? What did they do in their next season after that? They were 9-8, 12-5, and then 15-2. So if this staff is here the next, now they're 4-2 this year. So if this staff is let's say they go 2-15 this year, and they're brought back, okay, get your own guys in here, get your quarterback, all right, whatever. Then are we saying that the expectation is for them to go 19, 29, 31, 40, and 8, 13, 40 and 17 over their next 3+ seasons? Is that the expectation? Or no, are we going to say no, then that's different because Jared Goff was a veteran quarterback and we have a rookie. Okay, so if it's different, then why are we bringing it up? You know what I mean? We just got to like let this team be its own team. And you can just say straight up, hey, man, we're kind of ass right now. It kind of sucks. It's kind of a bummer. I'm kind of concerned about the future of this team right now, but it's 6 games. Let's see what happens. That's all you really need to say. That's all you need to say. You don't need to say that if we didn't fumble here or there, we'd be 3-3 because it's made up. It is the most made up thing ever to say that. We didn't fumble, like, and you got some breaks in terms of you played the Bucs when they had 5 offensive linemen out and no Chris Godwin. Look at the Bucs now. They'd put 30 on us. You played the Cowboys when they had no CeeDee Lamb. They didn't have Tolbert. They had 4 backup offensive linemen. You got the Steelers week 1 where they were kind of not at their best. If we played the Steelers next week, they would apply belt to our ass, right? So we don't got to do all that, man. Like, let's just say, hey, team isn't very good. We lost to some teams that are better than us. Hopefully we can find a way to button some stuff up and get some wins and feel confident going forward. That's all you have to say. We just acknowledge what it is and hope that it gets better. We don't have to make all these crazy comparisons and invent fake enemies like, oh, people are creating fake narratives and agendas about the Jets and the media. It's like, dude, all these boogeymen. The boogeymen are Woody Johnson and the people he hires. That's who the boogeymen are. That's who they always have been for this team. All right. So hopefully Woody Johnson got it right this time, or the 33rd team, or whoever the hell. Rich Smeeney went to Syracuse University and asked a question. That's why we could have a hit on a 3rd or 4th round pick in a decade. Come on. Enough of that. Yeah, Jeff Man, he's being sarcastic. Jeff Mans are incredibly patient, man. Well, I don't know if I say that. I have to word that. I have to word that more tactfully. I would say there is no current control group to in sports to measure Jet fan patience against. Right? There's no control group for it. So how can you even know? It's like, oh, this fan base who has all these circumstances, there isn't one. So we don't really know. We don't really know. Even Bills fans during their drought, were they patient? Dude, I never saw one. I live in Buffalo. I was like, there's a football team here? Like, I never even saw one. And now they're half of the Atlanta Falcons stadium. There was no Bills Mafia when they had Kyle Orton. They weren't around. Now you got people living in LA. Oh, yeah, I went to college in Buffalo. I'm a diehard Bills Mafia. All right. All right. Okay. You say so. Jet fans are more patient with Saleh than Glenn. I mean, that is unequivocally true. I think that Aaron Glenn has faced probably the shortest fuse from the collective of Jet fans of any coach I can remember besides Gase. But I think Gase was just, we almost laughed at it, where Glenn, it's like a lot of vitriol. And I think there's a couple of contributing factors. I think the longer this playoff drought continues, the harder the job gets. I mean, if people want to get Glenn out of here, the next guy, like that guy better win right away too, right? Because all right, I don't know. The harder the job gets. And number two, a lot of people really, really, really wanted the team to keep Aaron Rodgers. Right. And I think what you saw online is there's a lot of same thing with Justin Fields and the Zach Wilson, the BYU people. Someone like Aaron Rodgers has their own collective fan base. They're not Packer fans, they're not Steelers fans, they're Aaron Rodgers fans. Okay, free country. And they get intermingled, and these people get intermingled with us. And they were pretty boisterous, right? And Aaron Rodgers looks pretty good, right? What can you say? But that was that. So those two things, I think, were definitely a big part of it. Because even the draft, I'm like, guys, you're not basing this in reality. After the draft, you're like, this should be their last draft. They should be fired. I'm like, they had a fine draft. Are people telling me they were watching film of Kiko Mauagoa and they knew he was going to be a bad pick? Give me a break. It wasn't that. They just, this regime felt like they started on thin ice. And that's probably not fair. Right? That's probably not fair to them. And I was kind of going back and forth with people over the offseason. I'm like, guys, relax. Give them a chance. They just got here. They're not responsible for 15 years. Come on. And now I'm just like, get us a win, man. Please, just one. Just one win, man. I fought the good fight for you, Coach Glenn, on Twitter, man. I fought the good fight as hard as I could. What can I say to them now? Nothing until we win. Hopefully we win. UConn Jet, Glenn deserves criticism. Zero IQ and hubris. I mean, all right, let's not say the guy has zero IQ. Now he's definitely, confident, right? New sheriff in town, that kind of does come with a double-edged sword, right? If it works, it's like, holy shit, this guy came in here and told Aaron Rodgers to kick rocks and was basically saying the last coaching staff was ass, and that's why they were bad. Remember the clip where they were talking about Will McDonald and how he gained more weight. This is before the season, and they were like, how did what's with it there? Did something click in Will? And he was just like, it's just coaching. It's just coaching. He said it's just coaching 6 times. The implication there is and he also said to another reference to another player, it's he's never been pushed before. So Coach Glenn definitely leaned into hey man, there's talent here. And he listed off all the guys he thought were super talented. And he pretty much shat on the previous coaches and said they were why this team is bad, not the talent level on the team. And so if they lose, now it's reasonable for people to say, hey, wait, because he didn't have to do that. Now, the part in March where he was like, I'm not here to rebuild, I'm here to win now. He kind of does have to say that to some extent. Let's be real. Everyone has a boss. The owner and the PR team is not going to allow the coach to say we're going to suck while they're still trying to sell their season ticket packages. That's just part of it. I don't care about that. But he did take some unnecessary shots at the previous coaching staff and saying, hey, we're here to win now and all that stuff. And maybe, I don't know. And then the conversation with the Aaron Rodgers becomes like a national story. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's naive to think that it would be different. Like maybe the media would be harsh either way. The media did eventually write a hit piece about Robert Saleh on his birthday. They published it. Remember that? But it still took a few years. Like, in my opinion, the tenor of the reporters, it is that like they don't like him because he doesn't like them. And that's just like, okay, does that affect winning and losing? Probably not. But it maybe doesn't necessarily make his job easier. Especially when you have an owner who's super sensitive to outside noise. The 2021 roster, the Jets 2021 roster was not better than the roster we have now. I completely disagree with that, Joe. Dude, because they lost Carl Lawson on defense, it was CJ Mosley. Second year Quinnen, and nothing. And offensively, it was rookie Zach Wilson and like Elijah Moore and a bad offensive line and like Michael Carter. So this roster isn't good, but the 2021 roster was bad, and that team was horrendous. The team was horrendous. I really think we've forgotten how bad Robert Saleh's first year was. They gave up 55 points to Mac Jones off a bye week. I remember that the Patriots literally ran the same screen pass to tight ends for 4 quarters, piling it on. 55 points to Mac Jones, throwing screen passes. It was insane. Completely insane. Bijan Robinson has 165 yards and 18 carries. Bijan Robinson is like, if you've seen the movie Us, where the people have their Shadow Realm counterparts. Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall are Shadow Realm counterparts, but the Breece Hall version is a little girl that got stuffed back into the shadows and is now with the Jets. When Bijan Robinson like gets back in the car with the family and gets to live like a normal life, and then Breece Hall is in the shadows, and he's like, Bijan Robinson got to go to the Falcons and have a good offensive line. Whatever that lady says at the end when they free her. But Breece Hall had to go to MetLife Stadium with Xavier Newman blocking him. I don't know. That's kind of what that lady sounds like if you've seen the movie. It's pretty terrifying. But that's pretty much it. It's like, yeah, if Breece Hall never tore his ACL and just decided to be good, and the Jets like decided to be not like the Jets, then he probably maybe could have been Bijan Robinson. But unfortunately, that did not happen. Yeah, I love that's a great movie. He's got that new one coming out with the football kid. I really didn't. The one that was what was the recent one with the thing in the sky that was eating people? I gotta be honest, I did not really care for that one. But Us was incredible. Us was one of my. It was very unique. Us was a great movie. Yeah, I mean, you are right to a certain extent, Eric. Like, if you lose, like, people are just not, there's no right way to lose. People are not going to want to hear, people are going to find fault in the things you say if you lose. Right? Just like the things we're talking about, like, oh, you should have not punted it here, gone for it here, timeout here. We never talk about those things if you win. And if Justin Fields just hits one freaking 8-yard out route to Garrett Wilson, then yeah, man, we're not talking about it. So, kind of is how it goes. Did you guys also notice though that dude Williams, the kick returner, he coughed up another ball, but his knee was just down. He fumbled again. I'm like, dude, you think that guy's not going to cost us another game at some point this year? You're out of your mind. Like it's insane that he's still on the team. It is kind of crazy. Whatever QB we need needs high football IQ and balls. What do you think are the most important traits of a QB coming out of college? Well, I'd like it to not be a Trey Lance situation where a guy has like 14 games under his belt, you know. Um, I definitely would like at least functional mobility. You know, Fernando Mendoza isn't the most mobile guy, but to me, Mendoza, I don't know, man. I just think Mendoza, he passes the sniff test of like, oh, that's probably going to work at the NFL level. Some of the things he can do, just he seems like to be able to process and just hit passes in rhythm, right? With it, for a lack of a ton of scouting vocabulary. Like I think you guys get what I'm saying when you're watching him, and he has good arm strength. He's a big dude. He can go get a 3rd and 7 with his legs. It doesn't look pretty. He honestly reminds me a little bit of Joe Flacco coming out of the draft. And we can make fun of Joe Flacco all we want, but would you sign for the first decade of Joe Flacco's career for a Jets QB? You would, because it would be like he'd have all the records for all our stats. And he won a Super Bowl. So I like Mendoza more. It's, he kind of does have that Jaden Daniels vibe to him, where he's a super young, incredibly talented dude with a little bit of a slender frame. And Will Stein's a great a great OC, and you just wonder how you're watching that game on Saturday and you're like waiting for more to do something where you feel like it's not Will Stein driving the bus. And look, people said some of the same things about the nameless college quarterbacks, right? It's, you don't want to hold it against the guy for having a good offensive coordinator. But that is a question. So those would be my top 2 guys, I think, right now, to be honest. John Mateer, that hand injury seemed to impact him. He threw a couple of ugly picks, but John Mateer seems like a guy who's going to go to the Steelers and keep them at 9-8, right? He's the Walmart Baker Mayfield. He's scrappy. He's got that dog in him. He is their offense. Like Mateer is their offense. He's like their best runner on a lot of games. So a dude who is clearly the engine of an offense in a obviously a conference where he plays good competition. And I don't know, man, the most recent guy, like this kid Simpson from Bama, I keep seeing his name. I'm like, I don't know. And then I actually did watch the game on him. Like, he made some big boy throws, Ty Simpson, too. Sellers is interesting, but Sellers right now, I just watching Justin Fields hold the ball in the pocket for a million years. I just think Lenora Sellers maybe, I know he probably won't, but I think he could be very well served going back to South Carolina for another year. His strength in the pocket is unbelievable. It's like Ben Roethlisberger levels of just not going down with guys draped all over him. And he's a very good athlete, and he's got a good enough arm, but I think he gets sacked like 60 times as a rookie, and that's a tough one. I think you'd not want to you want to draft a guy who that's not a thing you want to have to fix, because that can be a tough one. We've seen that be a tough one in the NFL a few times. Ben Johnson is still trying to undo it from Caleb Williams, and nobody's been able to undo it from Justin Fields. You think more is that? Yeah, Jaden Daniels is obviously a much better athlete. You think Mateer is Zach Wilson? That's interesting. I don't really see the comparison, because I think Mateer brings a higher floor, but like a lower ceiling. Like Mateer is the best Kenny Pickett there ever was. Nah. Do you want to take that with your number 1 overall pick? Probably not. Mateer is the Baker Mayfield of Kenny Pickett's. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's brutal. Do the Jets ever throw screens? No, they don't throw screens. They don't like it. It's crazy. Yeah, I think we're only talking draft because it's quarterbacks. Like we're not talking like which linebacker do you want in round 4? But when you're coming up on a quarterback, you start to kind of peek down the road a little bit, right? But I'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. Might be on with Dylan Turman tomorrow because he's just getting back from London. So might be on with him tomorrow. And appreciate that. God's plan. God's plan, but God's plan. Oh, I get it. I get the plan words now. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate all you guys. And go Jets.